Welcome in to a non-live version of Cap and Trade. I am your host, Texans Cap. Just got a couple of things I wanted to cover tonight before tomorrow night's preseason game with the Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Rams. Just a few players that I will have my eye on as we head into the last preseason game, followed by the 53-man roster reduction coming on Tuesday, no later than 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, capandtrade.football. I put out a very informative newsletter yesterday on the new IR rules that coincide with the 53-man roster reduction. So make sure you go read up on that. It's very, very informative. Got a lot of good details. Not too terribly long, but it'll help you understand why the teams are doing what they're doing and what the new bylaws are in conjunction with the new IR rules. So with that tonight, I wanted to just kind of cover a few players that I wanted to watch this coming weekend, which, is coming up now. Tomorrow, midday, we have the game against Los Angeles Rams. The players that I will have my eyes on are listed on the screen here. And kind of just will go through why those specific players have my interest. And right off the top, it's Robert Woods. I don't know. I just can't get a sense of where the team's at with him. I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot to be auditioned for the league. Is he going to be playing a lot to just prove he deserves a spot on this roster, or is he just not going to play at all? That will kind of tell us what the team thinks and what their line of thinking is in regards to Robert Woods. But his spot on this roster is in jeopardy. This team's likely going to carry 6 wide receivers, most likely. They're only going to carry 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man with the new emergency rules, new emergency quarterback rules. So I think that gives them the option to go to 6 wide receivers. And Robert Woods is fighting for a spot. He's a veteran, a lot of leadership, very trustworthy. We'll miss a game here or there for injury, but he's a very, very good depth player. There's a little bit of cap savings with coming from a trade with Robert Woods. A lot of cash savings, but I think that's beside the point at this junction. So I just want to see if he's playing a lot. If he's not playing a lot, that'll kind of tell me what the team is thinking with him. Secondly will be Dameon Pierce. He just seems to continue to get the raw end of the deal with blocking. I've posted a few clips with the run blocking that he was set up with over on the Substack chat. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. I've been posting all my game film over there on the chat. It's just he just cannot seem to catch a break when it comes to run blocking and giving him the chance that some of the other running backs have to put together good numbers. Now, it's not all the offensive line. Don't get me wrong. Dameon Pierce has made some bad decisions. He's still having problems cutting upfield on the outside zone. He's still having problem making decisions. It's almost like he's waiting for the perfect hole, the perfect tunnel to develop. And that's just not always going to be the case. You see players like Jawar Jordan, Cam Akers, British Brooks that are able to cut back, make that bounce outside, and Pierce has not demonstrated that ability this far. So I just want to see how he's utilized. It kind of falls in that Robert Woods situation. Like, if he's playing a lot, then maybe he's being auditioned for the rest of the league. If he doesn't play, then maybe that means his roster spot is pretty well locked in. But that kind of falls in line with the third player on this list, which is Cam Akers. And admittedly, when I saw that signing back at the first of training camp, I just thought, yeah, that's, camp body, help carry some covers because Joe Mixon was hurt. And he surprised me. And I'm excited to see what he can continue to do. He showed a lot in the second preseason game. He worked some during the joint practices with the Los Angeles Rams. but he is definitely in the RB2 battle with Damian Pierce. The team just seems content on giving Pierce every opportunity he can possibly get his hands on. They just need the offensive line to give him the opportunities to take advantage of those situations. The joint practices did not go well from a run game standpoint. The Los Angeles Rams defensive line was in the backfield quite a bit, both on passing and running game. So just want to kind of see how things shake out between Pierce and Akers. I think Ogunbowale is locked in. I think the team has ultimate confidence in him as RB3, especially with his special teams ability. He's very good on coverage, and he has the ability to kick in emergency situations, which we saw last year. Fourth on the list is a new name, Cameron Irving. And the reason why I brought him up is, Blake Fisher's locked in as offensive tackle 3. But that really leaves offensive tackle 4 pretty wide open. And Charlie Heck has been hurt. He's still not practicing with the team. He's been working on the side. And on Friday or Thursday at the joint practices, Cam Irving was working with the 2s. He was working at left tackle with Blake Fisher over at right tackle with the 2s. And, that kind of caught my eye. I didn't really get to see a whole lot performance-wise. Joint practices are difficult to watch. There's a lot going on. And then the team has a knack for stacking the players in front of you to where it kind of obstructs your view. But I really want to see him in the game and see how he fares as left tackle number 2, and he can maybe play his way onto this roster as offensive tackle 4. Xavier Hutchinson is next on the list. I think he has that body, that build of kind of the Nico Collins type build. He's not quite the same stature as Collins, but he can definitely take the top off the offense. He can get vertical. His hands are starting to get a little bit better. His route running is getting a little bit better. You just continue with that development process with him. And would he make it through waivers and getting back on the practice squad? It would be tough. It's kind of a coin toss. And I know there's kind of an unwritten rule with teams, and they will expect other teams to not put claims on players, but this is a business. There's no rules like that, no written rules. So I think there's a good chance that Hutchinson makes this roster, and I'm basing it on the fact of Noah Brown starting the season on injured reserve. And so we just have to wait and see how things look after 4 games. But I definitely want to see Hutchinson. He just seems he has the tools. He can do what the team asks of him. He'll make fantastic plays. He had 2 huge receptions in joint practices. But then you see him in the game, and he was sliding, feet out underneath him, couldn't catch the ball on a specific Bang 8 route. And, it's just those little mistakes that kind of just question whether or not he should make this roster. So I'm excited to see him. I'm rooting for the guy. I really love to see those day 3 guys continue to develop and find their way on the roster and develop and become contributors. So, definitely excited to see him on there. The last one is Miles Bryant. And I kind of put him on the list at the last second because I really haven't seen a whole lot from Desmond King at practice and in preseason. And I think Miles Bryant is a quality depth nickelback, cat out of the bag. Jalen Petrie has become the star / nickelback role when they move to sub packages. So if they're in the base formation with 3 linebackers on the field, then Petrie's in the back with Jimmy Ward at safety. But when they take a linebacker off the field, Petrie's been sliding down to that star nickel, third linebacker, or however you want to call it. And it's a cross between Eric Murray and Kalen Bullock coming out as the backup, the next safety in the rotation. So I just really want to see if Miles Bryant gets some run with the 2s as the nickelback and see how things play out from there, because I just really haven't seen much from King. I mean, he's got the punt return ability, some kick return ability, but I think the team has other options there as well if they decide to move on Des King, but they definitely need some depth at the nickelback position. So that's the 6 players that I will be kind of keeping my eye on. I could have made this list probably to 10 players if I wanted to. I definitely want to see if Jake Hansen plays. I want to see how he does at the will linebacker. I want to see how Kendrick Green does with the twos at left guard. There's definitely other players, but these are the players that I think have the most impact towards decision making when it comes to the 53-man roster construction that's going to go down no later than 3 p.m. on Tuesday. I expect teams, especially the Texans, to start making their moves on Sunday and work their way. So the initial batch of players, you'll probably see 10, 11, 12 players waived, released, depending on their status, if they're vested veteran or not. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing is, Sunday we're going to see the first batch. Monday we'll see a few more players. And then Tuesday, as teams really push to build that 53-man roster, don't be surprised if you see Nick Caserio reach out to other teams, and whether it's dealing players that are on the Houston roster, like a Robert Woods, like a Dameon Pierce, or if it's acquiring other players. I talked about that on the last Saturday night on the live stream. We talked about how teams will try to circumvent the waiver wire, especially if you're low on the waiver wire. They'll circumvent that waiver wire to give up conditional future draft picks to get players in return. So there's going to be a lot going on. We've already seen 4 trades, I think, in the past 48 hours. Definitely in the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks have been in on a lot of those trades so far. So don't be shocked if you see Nick Caserio making some moves, whether it's sending players out, bringing players in. So it's going to be an exciting time. I hope everybody enjoys the game on Saturday, tomorrow at noon against the Rams. Probably won't get to see a whole lot of the starters play, maybe a few spot starters, but I just wouldn't expect like C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Diggs, Mixon, Aziz Al-Shair, Daniel Hunter, those type players. I just wouldn't expect them to be out there. So, but it's still fun. It's still fun for fans to watch the depth players. There's a lot of position battles going on. This is probably the most difficult 53-man roster construction that the team has had in 5-6 years. Easy. There's a lot of competition across the roster and a lot of decision making. And one more point to kind of keep an eye on, and I almost put him on the talking point list, is British Brooks. And I really want to see if he plays fullback. I definitely want to see if he will be out there as a fullback. We saw a little bit of it at practice, but not a whole lot. Maybe Cade Stover is the fullback, but they did sign Nick Bodden, who will kind of fill in the role. But I think Harrison's going to be your fullback that's going to see most of the work tomorrow. Andrew Beck is still not practicing with the team. He's still working on the side. So Troy Hairston, he has his ups and downs. We noted that with film review this past week. Hopefully we see a little more assignments. Now, I will say there was one play during joint practices where it's really phenomenal by Hairston. And I'm sorry to get off a little diatribe here, but this is a really cool play. They were in 21 personnel. Hairston was flanked to the right and pretty close to the tight end. He jet motion across the formation. As he cleared the left tackle, Stroud snapped the ball, and he went out to the flat like he was just running a real generic flat route 3 or 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, and Gosh, I hate when it does that. I need to turn those off. And so he ran 3 or 4 yards out and then stopped and cut back. It was like a real strong F angle route, like a very extreme Texas route almost. And so he went and cut back inside and had the safety turn around sideways. And it was an easy reception, but for an easy first down. It was a pretty cool play. So those are the players to watch this week. I think it'll be pretty fun to see how the team and who they play and to kind of give us an idea of what they're thinking. So we'll definitely keep an eye on things. We'll keep you locked in. Make sure, subscribe, capandtrade.football. We'll have it all lined out there next week. And just remember, last point, the initial 53-man come Tuesday at 4 p.m. is likely not the 53-man that's going to be in place come week 1. Changes will happen during the week. The team will have to do a little bit of roster shuffling to cover some other things, so just kind of keep that in mind. It's not set in stone. Wait until week 1 to see what the 53-man. So with that, we will have a good night. I hope you have a good night. I hope you enjoy the Texans game tomorrow night. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Trying to push more content out on the video front, so more likes, more subs helps me to help you create more content, better content. So with that, have a good night.